deviations, which is I think it's about 95%. So pretty much covers all angles. Now, what some institutions do like to do is look at it in more increments, like in terms of the spread being 0.5, 0.5, 1.5. And I'll tell you why that is. It's to do with rhythm, which I'm going to come on to when we actually look at trading. But let's look at it statistically. Okay, so look, I know you might be thinking, hang on a minute, he's now going off into different standard deviation bands and all of this. Don't worry, guys. Okay, it's not. I don't expect you to understand the deep sort of statistics behind it. Just very basically, I'm going to try my best to explain it to you in the most logical manner. Again, if you're not getting it, obviously I'm happy to go through it again, but at the end of the day, it is really fairly logical. So what I mean by that is, so we already said 2 slides ago that there was a recap, and then we had whatever the weighted average was for this data. I believe it was, just give me a second, let's have a look. 179? Yeah, 179.4, right? Sorry about that. Didn't write it down here. Now, as new data comes in, new market orders, we just saw that on the last slide, right, with the distribution. So let's go back to that. See this? New market orders. This is throughout the day. New market orders. And then I've split them out here. New market orders. What's the difference, guys? It doesn't matter what you're looking at. It could be grades. It could be scores in a match. It could be heights. As new data comes in, the mean shifts. We already saw that, right? As the new... coming back to this. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but I'm trying to do it for your own benefit. You see the mean shifted from here. We got all this new data. It shifted it up. Mean, new data came in, shifted it up. Guys, what it is basically the reason why institutions like to look at these standard deviations in more granular bands is because, would you agree? Let's have a look at heights, right? If new data, if you got a bunch of new heights coming in at 181, that's obviously going to shift the mean, right? Because we know the mean is, and I've got rid of it unfortunately, but I believe it was, sorry about this, 179.4. Yeah, 179.4. So we know the mean is approximately here. The VWAP is here. If we get a whole bunch of new heights coming in at 181, it's going to shift the mean a little bit. Now imagine we get a whole bunch of data coming in, market orders or heights coming in at 186. Which is going to move the mean much more, right? If you get data coming in at one extreme rather than here, you're going to get the mean shifting much more. That's why people like to look at the first standard deviation, because, or different standard deviation. So let's just keep it simple for now. Is they'll say, market orders, i.e. price, got built in the first standard deviation. So we may be going imbalanced because the mean is going to shift. Imagine we got orders coming in the second standard deviation. Guys, that's a heavy imbalance. Can you see it shifting the mean this way? So what this allows institutions to do is say, actually, no, it was just here. We're getting not much of an imbalance. We're just getting a small shift. Can you see why? Here you've got 0.5, 0.5. Can you see if I get market orders, transactions, don't get confused. It's just price, as in orders coming through, orders at price. Then my mean's not going to shift that much, right? My weighted average price, my VWAP, it's not going to shift much. If I get it in the first standard deviation, it's going to shift that much more. Now imagine I get it in the 1.5. Guys, this could be becoming a heavy imbalance period. Okay. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but obviously it gives you a way of saying the rhythm, the shift in imbalance is faster when we are creating market orders or generating market orders between 1.5 and 2, obviously the mean's going to shift more, isn't it? Computationally, just when you do it in your calculator, at the end of the day, if you start adding 186, 186, 186, obviously mean's going to move more than if you started adding 181, 181. Guys, no different in a price, okay? So that's all why people are looking at the bands, because they want to see, where are market orders taking place? Are they taking place in this zone? Are they taking place in this zone? Look, the 1 standard deviation, the half standard deviation. Let's go and have a look at this. Okay, so just following on literally from what we were doing, if you look at the distribution curve, and I said, there's the half standard deviation, 1 standard deviation, 1.5, and the 2, all you do is you just flip it. That's all they're doing. When they're looking at this standard deviation band, and you may have seen this on your MT4 with some bands or whatever. At the end of the day, even though the underlying sort of reference point that MT4 is using is garbage, because it's a moving average or whatever, the actual standard deviations, the theory behind them is identical, in the sense that you've got the 1 standard deviation, right? See, guys, this is what I meant. There's really no literature. I've seen nothing on the internet that explains this properly. What's actually happening is that 1 standard deviation band, the reason why it's useful is because you can start to see, are market orders coming in? Are they coming in this area? Because my mean is going to shift slower. If I've got orders coming in this area here, do you agree my mean's going to shift faster if my market orders are at higher prices, right? That's why we look at this, because can you see, if throughout the day, right, I showed you this, the evolution of profile on the previous slide, you can see these orders were building and the profile, this mean, started shifting. How did that actually happen throughout the day? That's what you got to understand. It's my profile is evolving, and how is it evolving? At what pace is the imbalance that causing, or it could be no imbalance, is causing it to shift? And probably the easiest way for me to explain, if I just bring the price on, there you go. Can you see the price? So essentially, can you see in this instance, new market orders, right, at this point in the day, they were coming in at above this area. So guys, don't overcomplicate it. It's just new data. Heights of 30-year-olds were coming in this region of my frequency distribution. They were coming in this region. Okay, so what a lot of traders, institutional traders, will do is they'll be taking positions because the market's imbalanced, and they'll be saying, why is it imbalanced? Because the mean is shifting, and you can see it here. Can you see the mean shifting? And you saw that the market orders are developing much higher. As this is coming through, you can see it's a fairly, and then actually the rhythm. So we're going to talk about this, the rhythm, how the rhythm in the market can change. Obviously here the rhythm, it went from a fairly slow rhythm. Then can you see how it actually started developing much faster between there and there? Because we were initially in new orders were coming in this region, then we went to the 1st standard deviation, and then we dropped off a bit, didn't we? Look, the pace changed. We came back to the 0.5. And what does that do? It's going to cause the mean to slow down in terms of changing. And look, you can see it, the slope of the mean slowed down. Here it was fairly, gradient was fairly, steep. Then the mean changed. And then what happened is we got a complete change in rhythm. Do you see? First the rhythm was there, and then market orders started really tailing off in terms of where they were in the distribution here. Now the thing is, I know you might think, hang on, this is really complicated, but it isn't. Once you've done it a few times, it won't. And I talked about this before. Honestly, you need to somehow develop an understanding of this because, again, like I said, the way I've seen it taught, even the way it was taught to me, it just was too indicator-like. It was like, oh yeah, look, the VWAP, the average, we're bouncing off it. No, it's complete garbage. I'll be honest with you, if you really, really want to really like do well in this, and you can, is understand it. My point is, right, you understand what I'm saying. So I'm not doing this to make your life really difficult. I want you to really like be elite, and really to do that, I'm sure you can understand, you need to really get a grasp of why things are moving, not just, okay, NV said that this is the VWAP, and when the price bounces off it a couple of times, the rhythm has slowed down because previously it was up here and it was bouncing off this line, and now it's bouncing off that line. That's a pretty good understanding of rhythm shifts, but I want you to understand why. Why is that? It's because market orders are now taking place very close to the mean, right? Look, I already said this is the 0.5 standard deviation. It's taking place here. And we said that already in the example before, right? If you've got 180 as the average height of people, and you get all these data coming in at like, say, 179, 181, very close to the mean, the market shift, that shift in the mean is going to be very slow, isn't it? And you can see that the pace really slows down. But you're still imbalanced, as in you're shifting. So it's important to recognize that you're imbalanced, but it's the pace of imbalance. Okay. Now, there will be circumstances, obviously, where you're gyrating around the VWAP. Here, can you see all our market orders are taking place? Don't even think of it as the VWAP. Just think of it as the average price, volume weighted average, which is what it is, the volume weighted average price for the day. And all market orders have taken place above. What's that going to do? Obviously, it's going to shift the mean. When the mean is shifting, you're going imbalanced, right? Obviously, because your mean is shifting. If all market orders are taking place around the same area, you've seen the volume profile. How is it? It's like that. Your mean it's going to be flat. So can you see why the shape of VWAP, its direction, where are market orders taking place relative to the VWAP? Guys, this stuff is so crucial. And do you know what? I realized that I could talk about this so much. And the danger is that I lose a lot of people, because obviously I understand how distributions develop very, very well. And it's so clear in my mind. And I actually think, hopefully, most of you understand this, because I have tried to make it as simple as possible by comparing it to the heights. And obviously, if new heights are coming in, not at the mean, but slightly away from the mean, but at different areas of this, obviously they're going to have different impacts on how quickly your mean shifts, and therefore how imbalanced that the price goes. It's literally, instead of heights, it's just market orders. And we just want to see in which area, this area, just like we see in the distribution, are we getting the market orders? And so just one final time. Obviously, if market orders are developing in this area, we're going to see this imbalance, really strong imbalance, because it's going to shift the mean. It's going to cause the profile essentially to go. Do you see why I say this is an amazing thing? Because it shows you how the profiles developed. So for example, if early in the day, you had just a sort of basic profile. It's a terrible drawing. Let's start again. If you had some sort of, let's say it was like that, a basic profile. Obviously, if market transactions are taking place, say above the 1.5 standard deviation, so can you see all the way out here? That's miles away from the mean. Guys, this thing is clearly shifting quite rapidly upwards. Do you see? That's what I'm saying. It gives you a really good feel for how the shape of your profile is changing throughout the day, and therefore you can also use it for trading opportunities. And again, I said you know, I could go on and on about this theoretically. Let's actually get on the charts and see how this thing plays out. So when we're actually taking trades, and I'm going to show you, we're going to actually, I'm going to show you VWAP and how you would use it to take trades within your composite levels. I can actually show you how you can measure rhythm and essentially look at different types of imbalances and use that to your advantage. So let's go on to the charts anyway. What I want to do is I just want to show you one thing. I want to show you the evolution of profile because I just want to make sure everyone gets it. On my Sierra chart, I'm using market replay at, you know, several, maybe 100, 2, 3, 400 times speed. And I'm going to show you exactly what I showed you before. I'm going to show you profiles develop, and we're just going to bang home this point, and then we're going to move on from VWAP theory. I'm going to start seeing it in practice. Okay, I just want to make sure you, obviously I wanted to go over this because I can refer to this when we're on the chart. So if you've done 1.4, you've done this and you're still a little bit unsure, don't worry, I'm going to really try and hammer this home when we get on the charts. All right, guys, let's get onto Sierra, do the market replay quickly, and then we're going to end this section. Okay, so I thought it would be quite handy for us to look at this on a chart just to bring it to life. A lot of the theoretical stuff I was talking about. So, you know, that's the VWAP essentially. And you can see the danger why. The way it's taught, even in institutions, they just assume you kind of know all the stuff I was talking about. And I've seen it time and time again. People just fall into this trap of looking at this as some sort of line you can play bounces off, and they don't understand it, what it's actually trying to tell them. And you know, that's really important. That's why I'm trying to spend a bit of extra time, even though I know it's really tough in sections, because you're trying to think of profile changing minute by minute. And it, look, end of the day, yeah, it can be, I understand, you know, I've obviously seen the profile change millions of times, so for me it's like fine. And the reason I'm saying that is not to say, oh, I'm better than you. In fact, no, the opposite. I'm saying to you that, look, don't worry too much, it will come in time. It's just experience. As you see the profile developing, you see VWAP developing. The reason I'm laying these seeds over the next few months, and I say this all the time, the hard work starts when this course finishes. When you're observing VWAP, I want you to think about the things I told you about. Oh, why is VWAP forming? What is actually forming it? Not, it's a red line on my chart and it's basically somewhere where I just need to do things when the market touches it. No, because that means you're not understanding its formation, why it's forming, why the bands are the way they are. It's all to do with obviously the statistics section that we talked about. Just market orders developing in a distribution over time, and obviously the average shifts, right? So what I want to do is to show you that in that rather than just people's heights, it's just market orders. I thought it'd be really good if I just put you on the show you the market profile market replay function, and I'll show you this to you later, obviously for the simulation stuff and whatever. But essentially, you could probably try this for yourself. I've got no issue with it. I've actually taken, I believe in the template, I may have taken volume profile off, as in it's hidden. So what you need to do is you just need to unhide it, okay? What it is, because when we go on to composites, we'll have volume profile eventually, but I'm going to show it hidden because it's too confusing otherwise to show profile, VWAP, composites. It's going to be too much for you at first, but for the purpose of this exercise, you can bring it on. So just obviously unhide this volume profile, okay? So volume by price is what it calls it, but it's volume profile essentially. Then you go to chart and you go to replay chart, okay? Now this, even though I've got a live account here, as you can see, it's actually only works, obviously it only works in sim mode, so it's gonna, hopefully you don't have a live account, but it is gonna take it off. But yeah, so first what it is I just do single chart because obviously it uses a lot of processing power. If you've got loads of charts and you ask it to replay all of them, we don't want to do that at the moment. I'll just stick to standard replay. You don't need to do any of this tick stuff and all of that. That's more like if you're testing algorithms and etc., etc. It's absolutely fine. Standard replay. Use start date and time. Let's do this day, you know, just after the open. Let's do like 9 o'clock. It's perfectly fine. Yesterday. So obviously when you watch this, it could be year, 5 years, whatever your date is, just do the day before, yeah? And do like maybe 8 o'clock in the evening, sorry, 20:00, because it's by time. You can do number of trades to next bar. I've got the speed as 480, but so that's obviously normal speed, and we'll speak briefly about this obviously later on when you're ready to do market replay stuff, but yeah, essentially you might as well start to get used to this functionality now. So let's just do one for now, press play, and as I said, I have to enable trade simulation mode. You probably, if you're in sim, which you should be, it'll just get you started, but obviously because I'm in I've got a live account here, it's going to clear all that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so it's essentially, and I know my face covers a lot of this, but just ignore that for now. This is that day. So let me just move this down a bit further down. It's about there. So he's actually playing now. Let's just speed this up a little bit. Okay, so you can see there is a distribution there, but you won't be able to see it now. Let's just see it form. So my point is, this is just new market orders coming through, and you can't see the VWAP right now, but it is shifting. Let's just have a look. Can you see that? You can see the little market orders developing there, here. I'm just going to speed it up a bit more. You can pause this and play it back a little bit, but like I said, the point is you can also do this yourself. Did you see what the point? My point was that, look, the VWAP was here first when we had these market orders here. And look what happened. The new market orders came in where? Above the 0.5 standard deviation. Initially they came in much higher, and look what it happened. It caused the mean to shift up. That's all why, because the market orders were coming in where? Above the mean. So obviously it was causing the mean to shift up. But the point is, how quickly were we getting imbalanced, okay? Were we getting fairly imbalanced? Obviously that's the 0.5. Were we getting, you know, pretty solidly imbalanced? Or were we getting a fast imbalance at 1.5? Well, at this stage, it's still fairly stable, isn't it? Let's just see how it develops. My point is, do you see, even without looking at any of this, we can just see from the VWAP as it develops how this profile develops. So that's what I was trying to say in the theoretical section, and why I said that, you know, it would probably be quite handy for us to look at this, because it will be a lot clearer. I'm going to slow this down a little bit. Can you see the market orders coming in? Look what's happening. Guys, look what's happening to the mean. Every time market orders come in above, the mean shifts, and then look, it shifted down. Guys, can you see how incredibly powerful this is? Why? Because what's happened, even if I couldn't see this profile, and I could only see the mean of the profile, what have we done? We've just gone up and down above the mean, right? So we've had transactions above, which have caused us to go and balance up, and then transactions below, which has caused us to go down. Have we gone anywhere? We haven't gone anywhere. And when we go nowhere, we get balanced profiles, don't we? Look, it's a very balanced profile. Very different, very, very different to what you see here, which is where we spent the bulk of time above the mean, and therefore the profile isn't balanced, is it? It's more of a different shape where it's flat here, and then we get a lot of heavy volume building above. So I don't like to use the word trend day, but essentially it's a trend day. It's an imbalanced day. Typically, look at the pace of it. Is my point. The pace was, we could say, 0.5 essentially was the pace, and then at stages we had a pace where we kind of went above and below. So do you see, the rhythm was more closely matched to the 0.5. My point is, if market orders were taking place all up here, this mean would have really motored, and this would have been much bigger. What I'm saying is, you've got to. My point is, and I know this is a lot to take in right now, and I understand, I've seen this a million times, so for me it's just like I know it like the back of my hand. And don't worry if you're still thinking, oh, this is a bit much, I'm not understanding. It's fine. I don't expect you to get this the way that I'm describing it immediately. The reason I'm telling you all this stuff is because you're about to go on a VWAP journey now. I want you to start developing your understanding like this. I don't want you to think, oh, Envy said the rhythm is bouncing off this line or gyrating around here, so we're balanced. No, I want you to understand it deeper than that. I want you to understand, oh, if we have the market orders transacting in the, above the first standard deviation, then my mean is going to really shift up more than if we had transactions in this area. Then you see this would be much flatter, and your profile would be more like this. Obviously you wouldn't have these market orders because there wouldn't be any transactions up here, they'd be all down here. So you can start to get a feel for profile shape and what the market is trying to achieve or attempting to do. This is why I say I saw it so many times, even with institutional guys. They just didn't get this. Maybe because it wasn't explained to them or whatever, they fell into the trap of just trying to see this as some sort of indicator. They weren't quite getting, hang on, I'm getting valuable information here that maybe I should be paying attention to. So again, for example, this is gyrating around here. We haven't really got any imbalance when you start to look at how the day is developing. And this is the power of VWAP. You see, every time this VWAP changes, I can only get this information off a volume profile if I had every single different shape of volume profile. Did you notice? And go and rewind it. Early on, it was this shape. Then it started building, obviously, transactions up here, and it was this shape. Then we added this bit on as this bit. Do you see it's all developing throughout the day? It's changing. That's why I wanted to do this example so you could watch it change. Let's continue then. Watch it change. Watch that profile change and this VWAP change. If you didn't have this VWAP, how would you know how this profile has developed? Do you see right now, I've only got a static shape of profile. I don't know how this thing changed throughout the day, but using this and the bands, and obviously watching how prices developed with market orders, I can almost have a very good feel for how the market has achieved this balance, or imbalance. How is it achieving imbalance here? Is it achieving it in a aggressive manner? Is it achieving it in a not so aggressive manner? Is it achieving it in a very dull manner? Still achieving it, and I've often heard guys call this slow trend, and these more faster trends. I've heard it being said before because it's imbalance is being achieved market orders at higher standard deviations, further away from the mean on your probability distribution. So again, apologize, I was going to play that. I just want to make sure you know what you're looking for. Do you see it? Look at this profile, it's changing shape. Okay, then we finish the day off. So let's carry on to the next day. Okay, so I really want you to watch for the same thing. Apologies, I think some of the profile might cover my face, but that's fine. In fact, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to move this up a little bit so we can have this in the center. Just watch the profile form, guys. You can see it there. It's forming. Look where the mean is right now. The mean is there. So can you see, for me to know, I'd have to have this shape of profile photocopied and down somewhere. Can you see that? Or on the page. How am I going to know where the VWAP was earlier in the day? I can't. I need it drawn for me, right? Can you see here? It's developing. Look, watch the VWAP change. Oh, look, market orders came in aggressively above the 1 standard deviation, and look how quickly and rapidly we saw the profile building. Can you see that? Guys, that's an aggressive imbalance. Okay, so you can have trading opportunities to get long. Aggressive imbalance. That's the rhythm of the market right now. And we'll talk about rhythm. See, the rhythm changed. We went from an aggressive imbalance to a slower imbalance. It's an imbalance nevertheless. But my point is, if we didn't have these VWAP lines, how would I know that the market's getting aggressive or it's not getting aggressive, and so on and so forth? How would I know how my profile shape has changed throughout the day? How would I know where the average was earlier in the day, right? Let me show you what I mean by this. So here I can see the mean started off here and went up, right? I can see it. The mean started here, we went up, yet we built aggressively up, etc., etc. And I can probably tell that my profile obviously was a certain shape down here, and then obviously we didn't develop much volume here, and then I can see straight away that the volume that happened here happened in an aggressive manner, and that the average shifted in an aggressive manner in the morning, and then the gradient changed. How can I tell that by just looking at a profile at one point in time? I can't, right? So for example, if I take my VWAP and hide it, do you see how much information you're losing? I have no idea how this thing evolved over time, how the mean, the average, and we've already discussed many times how the average is so important. I don't know how it evolved over time. As soon as I put that on, I can see. So let's just finish this example. Can you see, sorry, I know I keep pausing, but it's really important how this day going around the mean, right? It's a balanced day. It's very different to this day. Look at this day. When did we ever trade below the mean? We didn't. Why is that important? This is where the stats, basic stats, really helps. Because when you've got a profile that starts off like that, right? And here we can see all the frequency is constantly here, constantly here, constantly here, constantly here. What's going to happen is going to cause it to shift, right? Can you see that? It's going to cause it to go imbalanced in an aggressive manner, and it's going to cause this profile shape to change from that to essentially, you still have that, but then you get that. Can you see that's what's happening? It's exactly the same. You probably had a nice little profile in the morning, and then can you see all these market orders were coming in, and it was causing us to shift up into this area. So it's a very imbalanced day, and because we've got a reference point, the mean, we can see all market orders took place above the mean. We know it's an imbalanced day. It gives us great rhythm that we can start to take trading opportunities off. And here we can see it shifted, rhythm shifted. Do we need to change trading strategy? Yes or no? So look, I think I've pretty much exhausted the point here. You can see how the days, it helps you to sort of develop different sort of strategies, because it's developing throughout the day. I can change here, as you saw initially, the market condition was very balanced. Then we changed and we went slightly imbalanced, aggressive towards the end of the day. You can see shifts, and this is, you know what? I just wanted you to see more the theory behind it. We're going to keep doing this now, in terms of looking at it versus the composites. And then I think hopefully it should really ram home how this can help us from a trading perspective. So anyway, I hope that was useful. That's the VWAP and how it develops throughout the day and really shows us how the market condition is shifting throughout the day. And we're going to talk a lot more about that now. Let's get looking at VWAP with the composites, and then we can start to talk about rhythm, acceptance, and starting to build some trading ideas. All right, looking forward to that.